Talk about why you're supporting Bernie Sanders.
I'm supporting Bernie Sanders because he says no to fracking. I'm supporting Bernie Sanders because we do need a single-payer health care system that takes care of everyone, and that is not a pipe dream. That's something that's happening all over the world in really positive ways. We are a social democracy. That's our firefighters, that's our policemen, and it shouldn't be drawn a line. That's, firemen will go into your house to take your hard drive out and save your cat, but if you break your leg, screw you. That doesn't make any sense. When you actually go and you travel around the world and you start recognizing that people can actually be sick, they can have a broken leg and not lose their job and lose their livelihoods and lose their homes over it. That's really important. Free college, universities, that's a really, really big deal. People shouldn't be thinking about that for the rest of their life. They're going to be having these deals, because I'm looking at people who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who are still paying off their student loans. That's crazy. How are we supposed to compete in the economy as it's moving forward? The world, we're being replaced by robots. We're not going to be globally competitive if we're not making sure people are getting the education that they need.
And why do you think Bernie Sanders can solve these issues in a way that Hillary Clinton can't?
The reason why Bernie can do that is because it's a revolution. And the revolution is all of us being a part of that conversation. It's not someone's going to go into office and just go, great, I took it from here. But actually inspiring people to come and take off. When you see what Black Lives Matter is doing with Buy Anita, when you see people like Nina Turner coming up and Tulsi Gabbard and all of these other people, this idea that, this has to be the only person, this only woman. No, I don't want to vote for someone who said yes to the Iraq War and yes to the Patriot Act twice. I don't want to support someone who said yes to NAFTA up until 2008 when Obama even called her out on it because she was running for presidency, who's saying, yeah, the gold standard of the TPP deal, but exactly what she's going to do when she goes into office and sign it. This is not okay. Profits for prisons, and now actually profits for the rehabilitation centers, because the same people who own those private prisons are also the same people who own the detention centers and for the undocumented who are going in there. And it's not just undocumented people are going in and thrown in there who have green cards, all types of, there's a real serious problem that's going on right now and has been going on for a long time. And for someone like her to be talking about that she cares but hasn't done anything really about it is really shocking to me, and really even admitting and talking about how her policies were so devastating for people,
What about the TV networks that say that Bernie Sanders can't get the support of communities of color?
Well, that's obviously ridiculous, and that's obvious. But again, you got to really look at the fact that these companies and their parent companies are the ones who have, they're dependent on fossil fuel and pharmaceutical companies putting the commercials around them. They're dependent on, all of, this is about people making money and lobbyists. This is not about us.
Can you talk about what you're doing tomorrow night, the forum you're having in Harlem? Are you doing it with
Yes.
Michelle Alexander?
Yes. So I wanted to put together, actually, I was talking to Eve Ensler about it, and we just came up with this idea of talking about just women and what we have to talk about in policies and politics. And so I wanted to round up particularly a couple of women who are definitely Bernie supporters, but not necessarily everybody. But we're going to have Michelle Alexander, who wrote the new Jim Crow, Tessa Thompson, who is in Dear White People, Donna Hilton, who is incarcerated for 23 years and can really talk to these issues and give people information. Because the one thing I keep finding is people who are supportive of the other candidates tend to do so with these really broad sort of ideas as to why. And so as soon as you go, well, why? And you challenge them, they don't really have the facts to back it up. And I really feel like there's a possibility of especially undecided voters giving them the information that they actually need, that a lot of the group mass media is not giving them, because he's, and he doesn't have the benefit of super PACs or being a household name or a brand name, so he just has us, and he has his message that has been consistent for decades. And so now, because of social media, the difference between him and Obama, the Twitter only just had its 10th anniversary of existence. He had a mass movement behind him, but people can tell you at 2 months in they were disenchanted because he closed the door and started trying to reach across the aisle with people who had been calling him a terrorist for years. And so he lost the House and the Senate and all these different things, and that's when the obstructionism came. It wasn't that he walked into it like that. And so and I think it's really, this is someone understands that, whose momentum is solely built off of the online space. And so we know, because he's been consistent his entire career, that he's not going to make an about face when he gets into the Oval Office, that he's going to stay true to his promises, because he's doing so right now. The desire and need to want to be president and do the things that he can do has got to be really so intense, and he must really want to be able to say yes, please, from companies that are good companies, say, please give me some money, but he still says no, because he wants the people to get him there. He wants all of us to win the presidency, and that's why I'm behind him.
And Rosario Dawson.